Peace, peace. We'll get started in a moment.
Glory G said, blessed.
Blessed, blissfulness. Eyate washo ish. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom alaikum. Rawbak. Islam. Peace. Yoruru. Alafia. And all the good stuff. Greetings. You're back once again with more heritage. All right. And basically, we teach you about your heritage, the real information, the real science of who you are, why you're here, your mission, your purpose. All right. So tonight we're going to get into what would JD do? Or what would Jesus do? Or, as I would say, would a real Jesus please stand up? All right, so before we get to that, we want to definitely talk about this here, the invitation from Tegrity. You got to promote it because this is something in which that sounds like a plan right here, you know? And basically you can get this debit card that increases your credit score tremendously, in which that is tied to a trade line that goes back a year. All right. So this is called the Z Black card, or you can go to www.ztegrity/Dr. Alim El-Bey.com. Oh, it's not .com, it's ztegrity.com /Dr. Alim El-Bey. There we go. We got it. Now we got it.
And I put it in the chat.
All right. Queen put it in the chat. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. This right here goes in. All right. Stop paying high prepaid card fees without getting any rewards. The free ride these cards have enjoyed with your money is about to end. All right, so we're looking at the green dot prepaid card, no cash back ever, no rewards ever, always a ton of fees. And the rush card prepaid card, no cash back ever, no rewards ever, always a ton of fees. Now introducing, right, the world only secure prepaid elite reward, all right, metal card / debit card that also acts as a quote unquote credit card. And it says no credit check, no direct deposit fees, no late fees, no transfer fees, no point of sale fees, improve your credit, no teller withdrawal fee, no ATM fee after deposit, no monthly fees, earn elite rewards, earn cash rewards. This sounds like the shiznick right here. All right, this sounds like the shiznick. So check us out at Ztegrity. At Ztegrity, yeah, glad as metal at Ztegrity. All right. / Dr. Alim El-Bey. All right, ztegrity.com, Dr. Alim El-Bey, / Dr. Alim El-Bey. All right, so make sure you check this out there. All right, all right, we're gonna get into tonight's discussion. All right, everybody, of course, y'all can check us out at the website, the End of Metaphysical Confusion. If you have not gone to the website as of yet, check us out there, the End of Metaphysical Confusion. All right, we're gonna get into some of those topics and plus more tonight, though. We're gonna be going in, all right, on will the real Jesus please stand up? Because people get confused about Jesus and Christ. All right, this is a problem that's going on in the so-called conscious community as well as the unconscious community. All right, you know, most people don't read the book in which that they profess, you know, to worship from, and so that is a problem within itself. So we're gonna try to clear up some of that nonsense tonight. All right, so let's get into it. Y'all know how we do. We gotta go to the information. We gotta get it because I think we're about the only ones on YouTube that's actually giving you some real teachings that you can go back and do your own research. Everybody else is giving opinions and, you know, what they believe about somebody else. They ain't teaching you shit about yourself. I'm not that type of dude. I'm the type of dude that's going to teach you about your damn self so that you can do something for your damn self. That's the key here. We got to get you to do something for yourself. All right, so let's look at it. All right, let's look at it. Yeah, go back. All right. Halo Wings Institute. All right. Can you see? Can you see it? Can you see it? Somebody tell me, can you see it? All right. So Halo Wings Institute, Dr. Alim El-Bey and Khaliq El-Bey, your hosts. We will be going in September the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. If you need more information, please give us a call at 910-364-9099 or go to the website www.dralimellbey.com and go to calendar of events or calendar events. And when you go there, you will see our agenda for this weekend, September 21st, 23rd, as well as also the hotels. All right. It is only $250. All right, for the whole 3 days. Plus you get food, drink, and healing, sciences, and certifications. Where can you do that at? With us. Qigong, Tai Chi, Reiki, reflexology, acupressure, Tantra Kriya Yoga, which is Kundalini Yoga, herbology, herbalism, irisology, astrology, numerology, and much more. 3 days of the most enlightening practical knowledge and actionable information on the planet. You know how we do here on our station? On this channel? On this webisode, as the brother taught me tonight, instead of saying episodes, we say webisode. So yes, on this webisode tonight, all right? So that's, once again, it's September the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. We don't want y'all to get confused. All right, that's going to be right here in North Carolina. Give us a call at 910-364-9099. Our next event, though, right? Right? We got 3 things going on in September. We busy in September now. All right, but before we get to September the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, the first weekend of September, we have Dr. Alim El-Bey coming to Columbia, South Carolina. I will be there in Columbia, South Carolina. Columbia, South Carolina, September 7th And I'll be at Rotopian Bliss. Sister Sasha Lone, the goddess, chief chef, raw chef. All right, we're gonna be in her building, 6 p.m. We're gonna kick it off, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, and we're gonna roll as long as we can. Address is 8502 Two Notch Road, Suite 1, Columbia, South Carolina, 29223. You need directions? 803-518-8927. All right. The suggested donation is $10 at the door. So see, we even going cheap with you. All right. And I'll be speaking on the occult science of the holy breath. The occult science of the holy breath. We need the place packed, so come on out. You hear the God talk. All right. We'll be going in. You're seeing the information here on this channel. You need to see it up close, live, and personal. All right. We go even further in. You go into actual practices, which I can't get into per se on here. Once in a while, we can do a meditation or a mantra, a dhikr, or whatever you want to refer to, ANKHU, or whatever you want to refer to it as, sounds of healing, words of power. But being up close and personal and getting instruction, that's a whole different story. All right. It's good that you can watch on YouTube. All right. But that's not the real shit. The real shit is when you come to the event and we go over exercises. And I can tell you exactly how to do it and those types of things. This is taking things to a whole different level. This ain't just talking about history. All right. And as you see, I'm also a master in history. That was one of my majors in college, was history. Also sociology. So that means we had to deal with criminal justice. That's why I go into the science of law. Also, we had to deal with anthropology. That's why you see me deal with the origin of life upon this planet. Because these are things in which that we was taught in college. Now, in this manner, however, that you getting it, but some of the information still stuck, and I still give it to you so that you can get some understanding of what was taught in the university if you did not go. And also, for those that have gone, it would connect the dots for you. And that's the key. That's how we want to do it. Then, that's September the 7th. Now we go to September the 9th. So we're going to be all down south. All right, so not only are we down south, we're going to even be going further south. We in North Carolina, we're going to be going to South Carolina. Now we're going to be hitting Georgia. All right, Georgia. All right, that's old school. You don't know nothing about Ray Charles. All right, so right here, Decatur, Georgia. That's near the ATL. Hot Atlanta. God damn it. I used to live in Decatur. Right, over Chandler Road. All right up from the mall. We're going to be at 2440 Wesley Chapel Road, Decatur, Georgia, 30035. You need directions? Call the phone number 678-615-2547. We will be there. That's Sunday. So Friday, we're going to be at Sasha Lone's at Rotopian Bliss. Sunday, we're going to be at Moorish Medicine. All right, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Suggested donation, once again, is $10. We need to see the house packed. Stop playing and bring your asses out and get some of this delicious information. I'm going to be speaking on the Syrians and the Anunnakians, the Nagas, and the Malkuth, the world of making. Oh, shit. The title alone should drive your asses out. I'm telling you. I'll be there. So we mustn't confuse mastery with mimicry, knowledge with superstitious ignorance. That is often what I see here on YouTube. I'm gonna say that once again. You mustn't confuse mastery with mimicry. In other words, I see a lot of people mimicking off of the information that I present, but yet don't give credit. I said that before, and that's fine. But when you have teachers, you mention them. When I come to information, I state, oh, Dr. Deborah Blair said, Brother Bobby Hemmett said, Brother Panic said, Baba Phil Valentine said, Baba Hakeem Bey said. See, I mentioned the great ones when I come to information in which that you might be familiar with, in order to show you that I was not the only one that said it, but you can go back and watch their videos too and see the correlations. That's the science of mentioning those in which that you help or they helped connect the dots. That's the key. What goes around comes around. It don't always have to be a bad thing of what goes around comes around. It can also be a good thing of what goes around comes around.
Johnny Boy just gave super chat.
Brother Johnny Boy, always kicking it off. Appreciate that, Lord. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so now let's get into the information. The Holy Bible, New Testament, Galatians 4:21 through 26. Tell me, ye the desires by or be under the law, do ye not hear the law? For it is written that Abraham had two sons, one by a bondmaid and the other by a free woman. But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh, but the of the free woman was born of promise, which things are an allegory. An allegory. Now, keep that word in mind. For these are two covenants, one for the Mount Sinai, which gendereth the bondage, which is Hagar. For this Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia. Answer is to Jerusalem, which now is and is in bondage with her child. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, who or which is the mother of us all. Now, the holy breath, all right, is the mother of virtues, in which that takes us into the higher self, which symbolizes that which is above and free, which is the mother of us all. The lower chakras, which are called the four devils, coming from the Nation Islam and Nation Gods and Earth, symbolizes that bondage with her child. All right. Now, I'm gonna get into this information and you will see how these dots connect. And we asked the question, will the real Jesus please stand up? Or what would JC do? Right? I said JD earlier, but JC, what would JC do? All right. You remember that was a little saying about 15 to 20 years ago. That's what they used to have key rings and all types of things. What would JC do? All right, so that's tonight's discussion. So right here, allegories are intentionally chosen as means for communicating knowledge. Allegories dramatize cosmic laws, principles, processes, relationships, and functions, and express them in a way easy to understand. Once the inner meaning of the allegories have been revealed, they become marvels of simultaneous scientific and philosophical completeness and conciseness. The more they are studied, the richer they become. The inner dimensions of the teachings embedded into each story makes them capable of revealing several layers of knowledge according to the stages of development of the listener. See, I'm trying to take you to the highest level because a lot of y'all been trying to claim or climb Jacob's ladder, and sometimes it doesn't work. You still get, oh, Brother Straight Panther, appreciate that. Thank you, God. All right. And sometimes it doesn't work. So the thing is, this is why you need teachers. See, I've had teachers. This is why I'm able to try to get this information to you as easily as possible, as understandable as possible, right? So it says the higher we get, the more we see. It's always there. Just like, you know, that's what happens. So here, the secrets are revealed as one evolves higher. All right, so I'm trying to take you to the higher level. This is why I'm trying to get you into your higher self. So the Egyptians, the ancient present day Baladi, did or do not believe their allegories are historical facts. They believed in them in the sense that they believed in the truth beneath the stories. The Christians seemingly religion threw away and lost the very soul of their meaning when it was mistranslated the ancient Egyptian allegorical language into alleged history. Right now, we're gonna get into who did that because that's actually Zarias Piso or Pesos. All right. Instead of viewing it as spiritual allegory, the results was a pathetic, blind faith in a kind of emotional and superstitious supernaturalism, and effectively aborted the real power of the story. So I'm here to give you the real power back. All right. Allegory to transform the life of every individual. See, we want to transform the life of every individual that comes to this channel. That's our mission. That's our goal. All right. And see, we're doing the exact opposite of what is going on this planet. All right. You want to read more, you go to www.egypt, right, -tahudi.org, right, /articles, right, /holyfamilies.html. So the Bible says it was allegory. The Holy Quran also states that it's allegorical. All right, you go to Surah 3, Ayat 6 of the Holy Quran, all right, which is Inram. It is who has revealed the book to thee. Some of its verses are decisive. They are the basis of the book, and others are allegorical. Then those in whose heart is perversity follow the parts of it which are or which is allegorical, seeking to mislead. This is what the majority of the pastors are doing. They are misleading you. You've been hoodwinked, run amok, led astray. That's Malcolm X. You don't know nothing about that. That's old school. All right, so seeking to give their own interpretation, right? And none knows his interpretation except Allah and those firmly rooted in knowledge. They say, we believe in it, it is all from our Lord, and none do mine except men of understanding. So, the interpretation, which is of the allegories in which has been revealed to you, has been misleading, because the Catholic Church, as well as the Protestant movement, and all those particular sex cults, schisms, isms, and denominations that are under the Protestant movement, all interpreted as historical. With no, now when you get the book of Revelations, they try to interpret the book of Revelation, but it's always in a worldly manner. Oh, there's going to be earthquake. Oh, it's going to be disaster. Oh, shit. Here comes the meteorites. Oh, the president, Ronald Reagan, 666, Ronald Wilson Reagan, he correlates to the mark of the beast in the book of Revelation. Chakran, of one, I should say. So that is foolishness that we've been listening to for eons. Most of the time, when you hear these pastors, their pineal glands are calcified. And this is why they don't get no deeper meaning and can't tell you the deeper meanings because they don't know it. So they're not men of understanding. They're not rooted firmly in knowledge. They read 1 or 2 books, and as Bobby always taught us and said, man, shit, they only read 1 book, shit. He who reads 1 book knows none. Right? So they are reading just the Bible itself with no correlation. They're not even reading the strong concordance, because if they were, damn, they would at least be able to tell you something different. But you can tell that they're not. So according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, allegory means the expression by means of symbolic fictional figures. It's fictional figures. Symbolic fictional figures. Allegory. So when the Quran just made mention of allegorical, and when the Bible just made mention of allegory, it is telling you that this is an allegory and that they are symbolic fictional figures. They did not actually exist, at least not by the name and the storyline in which that is being given in the Bible. It's metaphysical. It's occult. It's esoteric. Right? And it says the expression by means of symbolic fictional characters and actions of truth, proofs or generalizations according, all right, about humans' existence. Also in instance, as in the story or paint or such expression, a symbolic representation. A symbolic representation. So if Abraham, as we just finished reading in the Bible, says that Abraham is an allegory, Hagar is an allegory, and Sarah is an allegory, then that means that Abraham, the supposed father of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, did not actually exist in human form. And neither did his sons Isaac, the supposed Hebrew, Israelite, Jewish, Christian father, nor did Ishmael, the supposed Arab father, for they were symbolic fictional characters or figures. Then the so-called monotheistic religion of Judaism, the Holy Quran, or the Holy Torah, Christianity, the New Testament, the Injil, or the Holy Bible in whole, and Islam, the Holy Quran, are merely stories and tales taken from older texts. We know that for a fact. We know that the information comes from ancient Egypt. We know that. It was Egypt that led the way in giving shape in this religion and hieroglyphics to man's awareness of the material and spiritual, natural and ethnical dualities of the world. The Egyptian philosophy was partly assimilated by the Syrians, Phoenicians, and Greeks, reaching the latter nations largely through secret societies. The reason why the exoteric cannot understand the Bible is because it is a book of symbolic or symbolism and allegories. Now, this is what you will find in the book by Hilton Hotima, Cosmic Masters. Right? Also in his book of the Magical Wand, or the Magic Temple, the Magic Temple. In the book, The Magic Temple. Right? So the reason why the exoteric, not the esoteric, the exoteric cannot understand the Bible is because it is a book of symbolism and allegories. You can only reach that stage if you are studying from an esoteric manner, an occultic, or a metaphysical level. But many spurious interpretations and distortions has been interpolated by the church fathers. And in this regard, when the mythological layers of the gospel stories are removed, there remains no core to the onion, no real person to point to as found in the Eponymous position. To put it another way, a composition of 20 people, whether mythical, historical, or both, is not one. I'm gonna say that again. To put it another way, a composition or a composite of 20 people, whether mythical, historical, or both, is not one. And that's what we have here. We have compositions for Moses' story. You have Sargon the First. All right, of Assyria. You have Thutmose III. You have Akhenaten, who is known as Imhotep IV. This is all talking about metaphysical principles, because this is composition of at least 20 people, and I gave you at least 3 for just the Moses story. Whether mythical, historical, or both, is no one. So you can get a composition of 20 people and it's not a real person. Sorry. That's the same thing they did with Jesus. You get the book 16 Crucified Saviors by Percy Graves. This perspective can be called mysticism. That's what you have. Mysticism represents the perspective that many gods, goddesses, and other heroes and legendary figures said to possess extraordinary and or supernatural attributes are not real people, but are in fact mythological characters. Along with this view comes the recognition that many of these figures personify or symbolize natural phenomena such as the sun, moon, stars, planet, constellation, etc., constituting what is called astromythology or astrotheology. As a major example of the mystic position, it is determined that various biblical characters such as Adam and Eve, Satan, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Joshua, King David, Solomon, and Jesus Christ, among other entities, in reality represents mythological figures along the same line as the Egyptians, Sumerians, Phoenicians, Indian, Greeks, Romans, and other godmen, who are all presently accepted as myths rather than historical figures. You should keep in mind throughout the works that when we talk about myths, we are not dismissing something necessarily as being false. While it may be true that a myth never occurred in history as a third-dimensional reality, myths nevertheless can be very profound and possess much meaning. As explained by Dr. Vincent Ulrich Tobin, a professor of classics at St. Mary's University. Myths is a mean of sacred revelations and a method of communication. Is logic a logic belonging to the realm of mythical and metaphysical rather than that of reason and rationality? And it may have been gathered from the point works of renowned mythologist Joseph Campbell. See, I'm a mythologist. We can take myths and decode that and show you the connection pieces because I study the work of Joseph Campbell. Rather than serving as something fabricated, that needs to be dismissed, mythologies possess a vital role in culture worldwide. It says, hence, myths has a very real purpose and meaning, which is in reality depreciated when removed from its context and placed into history. See, that's what the church did. They took these myths and comprised a character called Serapis to become Jesus, which is a composition of many characters or heroes in mythology. Never meant to be, right? It was never meant to be, all right? It was never meant to be an actual historical, realistic event. But we've took that like that because we never read the book properly. And then always somebody was reading to us from the book every Sunday, and they will only read certain passages, you know, so we never got the realness of it. But then you go and find the Ethiopian Bible, and it's the oldest and complete Bible on earth, written in Ge'ez, an ancient dead language of Ethiopia. Of course, they still speak, so obviously it's not dead. It's nearly 800 years older than the King James Version and contains 81 to 88 books compared to 66, or the 73 by the Catholic Church. It includes the books of Enoch, Isra, Baruch, and all 3 books of Maccabee, and a host of others that was excommunicated from the King James Version, because the King James was trying to do it based on what we refer to now as Masonry. The 31 plus 2 nerves in your spinal cord, or 2 outside of it, 31 inside your spinal cord, and the 2 outside, the Ida and Pingala, called your sacral nerves, equals 33. And then, of course, the 33, quote unquote, stairway to heaven, Jacob's ladder, which is nothing more than your spinal column, your Djid, the backbone of Osiris or Saw. 33. Jesus died at the age of 33. From Jesus to David is 33 generations. From David to Adam is 33 generations, hence 66. So they did it based on those mathematical numbers. All right. Well, we find that in the book, Historical Origin of Christianity, written by Professor Walter Williams, he breaks down the fact that you had Philip of Macedonia and his son Alexander the Great, as they say. I say fake, or anyway, came into Egypt. It was Persians came into Egypt, all right, and the brother of Alexander the Great was called Ptolemy the First, or Soter, the savior, and he forms the line after the 28th dynasty, the dynastic period in Egypt. They come in and they begin to start doing their thing. And of course, we know that Egypt is already reaching the fall. And so you had an individual by the name of Sylvester, in which that gives 3 degrees of the 9-degree system to the Albion, the European, or we say the Albion because they wasn't per se in Europe as of yet, right? Because they're not native to Europe either. If you get Sex Erased by J. Rogers, you find out that we was also already in Europe, throughout Asia, in the North, South, and the adjoining islands, whether it's the Pacific or whether it was the Atlantic. We was already in all of these areas, hundreds and thousands and millions of years before the European was even on the planet. He just got here around 6,000 to 8,000 years ago. On the last time it said 6,600 years ago. That's just what it is. Science says verify it. It is true, right? It is true. That's just what it is, right? So they are latecomers to our history, real history. So they had to come up with their history, being that they did not have any, being latecomers, and they had to tie our information into theirs in order to give them some validity on the planet Earth and to have some type of power. And it came through the papal, or papal, as they would say, which is through Catholicism, the Catholic Church. All right. We know that some of the earliest popes were melanated. All right. We know that the Coptics were melanated. All right. We know that for a fact. All right. We know that for a fact. So you go to www.romanpisosfamily.com. The Roman Pisos family of Pisos, as I refer to it, the Orias Pisos, is particular author the New Testament. That's who helped author the New Testament along with his family and bloodline and so forth and so on. All right. They are genealogy from Herod and Ptolemy bloodline. So Orias Pisos or Pisos is from the Ptolemy bloodline. And Herod, who is mentioned in the Bible to have to want to kill every baby under 2 years old because he feared the rise of the Black Messiah. All right. The same thing that happened with another betrayer who is known as J. Edgar Hoover, who wrote a memo a year right before the assassination of Martin Luther King, stating that they feared the rise of a Black Messiah. So that hasn't changed in 2,000 years of reading the information. And plus, they come to find out that the Hoovers in Mississippi were melanated, and J. Edgar Hoover was simply passing for white. And in order to keep people from knowing that, he chose homosexuality because he has that much self-hatred. All right? Because he did not want to give birth to them dark children, them seeds, in order to, they would have blasted him because they would have definitely found out that he was melanated. But he was in white lodges, 33 degrees, as well as also the head of the FBI since the 1920s, all the way up until the 1970s, 50 years. All right. So, and he was melanated. So, you know, the fear of the Black Messiah that he so feared, in which that even in the memo, it spoke about certain people, such as Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but they say that he was too old, essentially, to be feared. Then, of course, Martin Luther King said that he would have been definitely one if he would have abandoned his position as, you know, of nonviolence, which obviously, essentially he did, because that's why he was killed, because he told everyone, bunk that Vietnam War, the Vietnamese never called me a nigger. Same thing in which that Muhammad Ali said, essentially, and which caused him not to go to the fight for the war, the fight in the war, all right, the Vietnam War. All right, so, and then of course they said Malcolm X, he definitely was the martyr of his day, but they had him killed, FBI agent by the name of John Ali, who was the secretary and the third head or highest in the organization of the NOI, the Nation of Islam. All right, and then of course you had individual by the name of Kwame Ture, / at the time he was Stokely Carmichael. They said he had a charisma in order to do that, to be that Black Messiah, that so-called Black Messiah. All right, so we know that their fear has been like this for nearly 2,000 years because they want their reign to continue. But what they fail to realize is that they only had 6,000 years. So this is why now in 26 states, their population is dying off. There's more dying than there are that is being born. So you go and check the statistics in Iowa or Idaho and different other states like that, where there's a vast majority of them, they're dying out. As well as the birth rate in Italy is like 1.2. and fallen, as well as throughout Europe. All right. My biology teacher, my wife and my biology teacher told us back in the 90s that the European Albion is not going to be here by 2025 in droves like that. In other words, his birth rate would begin to start plummeting. And that's exactly what's happening. This is why for the chemtrails. Right, but that's another discussion. I ain't gonna get on to it. Let's get back to this.
And Young Saint the Great Super Chat.
All right, brother Ikramullah up in the house.
And Young Saint the Great.
Young Saint the Great. That's what I'm talking about. That's some greatness. You're great. Right, got to do the tiger voice on that joint. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate that, gods. Much love, much love. All right, so right here we have the Ptolemy first. All right, has determined that the book of Mark was the first of the gospel that was written. And the Roman Pisos family continued to remake Jesus down throughout history in various forms, including Muhammad. Oh, shucks. Oh, shit. Muslims going to be mad now. They didn't know that their whole shit is based on a fictional character. Just like Christians didn't know. Well, Professor Walter Williams told you in the historical origin of Jesus Christ, or excuse me, the historical origin of Christianity, he told you that there was never a man who walked the earth by the name of Jesus Christ. Well, in the historical origin of Islam, he told you the same thing. There was never a man by the name of Muhammad who ever walked the face of the earth. Don't get mad at me. I can just read. And comprehend is the most important part of reading. Comprehension. So, it says the Roman Pisos family continued to remake Jesus down through the history in various forms, including Muhammad and other figures that was made to appear extraordinary and or to have worked miracles. This is the mythical idea of the hero, or hence hero, which the title hero is derived and stems from the title of hero. Hero, obvious. So they created Serapis Christus in 135 BCE, the Greco-Roman Jesus Christ. See, that's their Jesus Christ, is Serapis Christos. And they took that from our Jesus Christ, which is called Serapis Christus. Serapis Christus. So that is the Greco-Roman name of Jesus Christ, or Latinized Serapis Christus. But we know that original New Testament was written by the Pisos family of Rome, written in Greek. So this becomes their character off the walls, because remember, Ptolemy took over Egypt. Ptolemy I was the brother of Alexander, the so-called Great, both sons of Philip of Macedonia. Okay, so he took over Egypt. So this means that here Arius Pisos or Pisos is from that same bloodline, hence coming from out of Egypt. So hence he had access to ancient Egypt. And so he took the character composite of Serapis Christus, or Christos, which is actually Osar, and Apis, which is Apis is Osar in his form of Taurus, which is Taurus, or the sun in Taurus, right? And then Christus, which is actually Christus, which is another name for Osar or Heru, the incarnated one. I know definitely that Christ, not Jesus, originated in Egyptian mythology that filtered through the Gnostics to the Christians in the first 4 centuries of the development of Christianity. But there was a need with the formation of the Catholic Church to invent an actual personification or personage for the masses to institute power and control over them. This is why Jesus was born. See, you just think Jesus was born in a manger because he couldn't get in at the inn. Joseph and Mary went to the inn and couldn't get in. So they went to a cave and laid Jesus' ass in the manger. And in the manger, all that good sounding bullshit, because it's metaphysical. And I'm gonna get to it in a second. But go get the book Ancient Egypt, The Light of the World by Jerry Massey, that taps roots of the Jesus legend in the eschatological, phrase can be traced in the Egyptian ritual to the time and to the cult of Ptah. So when you talk about Kres or Saw, Apis, that is to the cult of Ptah. All right. So Ptah spelled backwards is Hotep, Imhotep, the third dynastic brother who was called the Grand Advisor. He had what we now call the Pope role on the planet. He was next to the Pharaoh. All right. He is the Joseph of your Bible. Right? Imhotep is the Joseph of your Bible. This is where the Joseph information is composed from and of. All right, so this is the realness. All right. And guess what? Imhotep was actually the first documented, not just the father of medicine, but also the Messiah. He was like the Moorish Renaissance of his day, or the Renaissance. You had the Harlem Renaissance. And you had all these various brothers and sisters in the Harlem Renaissance who was poets and musicians and so forth and so on. During the time of the chitlin circuit. All right. But we ain't damn eating no chitlins over in this motherfucker. There ain't none of that going on over here. Not no chitlins. All right, but here you had Serapis or Serapis, the marble bust of Serapis wearing a modius. Major cult center is Serapis of Alexandria. All right, Alexandria was formed by who? Ptolemy the First, or by the Ptolemies. That's who formed Alexandria. The Library of Alexandria that eventually got burnt down, which housed over 700,000 documents, was formed by Ptolemy. It was the school in which that everybody could come to in order to get knowledge and information. Because Africa was the hub of knowledge and information. So Serapis or Serapis, which is the early form from the Coptics, is a Greco-Egyptian deity. Osiris Apis, as you see here, or Sir Happy, or Sir Happy. I'm so happy. Or Sir Happy. So, me and my wife, if y'all see the video, we actually show you, we went to the museum, and we actually show you the bust of Serapis that they had. Now, all of this came from later on. So here it is. We talking about Serapis Christus, which is actually Happy or Sir Happy Kades, was already in Egypt 135 BCE and way before that. And the Greeks, actually, who were the Persians. All right, let's get this straight. And I can't say necessarily that the Persians was European like the way that we see Europeans today. We would speculate that they had to have been melanated in some sense. However, this is around what we now refer to. Now, you get the book by Walter Williams, Professor Walter Williams, Historical Origin of Christianity. He tells you certain things. He tells you about the fact that it was around 332 BCE that Alexander the Great, so-called great, his father Philip of Macedonia, and his brother Ptolemy I, or Sota, came into Egypt. Now, years 50 to 100 years before that, you had the so-called great Greek philosophers. Okay? You had the great Greek philosophers. I don't know where it comes from. All right? And these great Greek philosophers, as they are referred to when you read. Now, once again, these Greeks could not have been Europeans. Sorry. They could not have been Europeans. It didn't get them. All right? So, how we know is because the first so-called Europeans, who were allegedly Philip of Macedonia, Ptolemy first, and Alexander, the so-called Great, were the Europeans, allegedly, let me not say Europeans because I can't say that, or the first Albions, allegedly, that came into what we now refer to as Egypt in order to try to get initiated into the mystery school. And because we seen them as barbarians, we did not allow for them to come into the mystery school. So that means that when we go back and do the research on Socrates, who we know Socrates was melanated. We got an actual bust of Socrates in which that shows him as being melanated. So that means that Aristotle, Euripides, Herodotus, and many others in which that went into the Egypt and got taught and trained had to also have been melanated. All right, they could not have been Europeans because the first Europeans did not come in until allegedly 332 BCE, who was allegedly the Persians of Philip of Macedonia, Alexander the Great, and Philip and Ptolemy I. All right, and I busted out a brother, I won't go into his name, but I busted out a brother who attempted to diss metaphysics and talking about Aristotle bought and coined the term metaphysics, but Aristotle studied in Egypt for over a decade, all right, as part of the ancient mystery school. So he couldn't have coined anything because he never finished, because it took a 40-year cycle for you to come out of that school. And guess what? No so-called Greek philosopher ever came out. Even Pythagoras, who was there for 24 years, right? Never finished. And he was there the longest out of any of the so-called Greek philosophers. But truthfully, they couldn't have been Greek in the sense that they had to have been more so Minoan or Cretan. Minoans, because we knew that the first so-called Greeks in Grecian lands were the Minoans and the Cretans, who were melanated. In fact, the Minoans came from out of Egypt because they followed men or Amen, the same men that you follow today. When you say Amen as a good Christian, good Muslim, or good Jew, a Hebrew, Israelite, you say Amen. Just that simple. But we know that in 325, the council was formed, right? The first council of Nicaea, convened by the Roman Emperor Constantine, all right, in 325 AD in Constantinople. Constantinople is Turkey, in Turkey, all right? He changed the capital, right? And so we know that Arius of Libya, which is in Africa, was a popular preacher from Alexandria, Egypt. He was taught that that Christ was not divine, but created, which made him a primary topic at the first council of Nicaea convened by Constantine in 325 AD. So here it is. Even the Christ, Serapis, Christos, they didn't even make. That was still over 400 years before Constantine. It was 135 BCE. and the Greek Romans, which actually would be at this time the Minoan Cretans / Etruscians. All right? Understand that. Not necessarily the Europeans that you are used to now knowing. All right? Or seeing. You know, because we've been inundated with the greatest story ever told, the movie about pale Jesus going around healing everybody and then getting crucified. Or Charleston Heston, whatever his name is, doing the Moses story. You see his hair turn gray. He come down off the Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets, and these are the 10 commandments. Charleston Heston. So right here, we've been inundated with this shit. So only thing we can see is Albion. But it couldn't have been. We come to find out that many of the priests that Constantine had there was from out of Africa. Arius was from Libya, which is Africa. So he wasn't European. He was melanated. His name could not have been Arius also. But that is a Greco-Roman name. Okay? In Alexandria, assembled a council of Egyptian priests or bishops, right? About 318. Here it says 320, and toppled Arius for heresy. All right? And Arius, all right, fought back and went to Palestine, confessing support from other Eastern bishops. Now, who are these bishops? Egyptian bishops are the Coptics. These are melanated people. So in the beginning, their intention was to take the ancient mystery school system and give it to the people, bring it out from out of obscurity and from out of the secret society and bring it out and give it to the people. That was the purpose of this. Arius was like, are y'all going to add in the fact that this is a mythical character? And so he got excommunicated. So Arius' theology taught that there was a time before the Son of God when only God, the Father, existed. They debate over the Son's precise relationship to the Father. And the Arians, original of Arius' concept of Christ is that the Son of God did not always exist, but was created by and is therefore distinct from God the Father. This belief is grounded in the Gospel of John 14:28. You hear me say, I am going away and I'll come back to you. If you love me, you would be glad that I am going to the Father, for the Father is greater than I. Okay, so that actually is a line of Orion or Arian, all right? That's an Arian concept. And it's right there still today in the Bible. But we know that if you check Jupiter and Zeus, because you're dealing with the Greco-Roman, the Greek pantheon head was Zeus, all right? And the Roman pantheon head was Jupiter. So you put Jew and Zeus together, just Zeus becomes Jesus, hence, which is Zeus. This European character here, Jesus, which later on we find by the 16th century, 1500s, we find a battle taking place between Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. Michelangelo loses the battle. Leonardo da Vinci wins. And Pope Alexander VI, his bastard son by the name of Caesar Borgia, wins the tells Leonardo da Vinci that he wins the competition. Him and Leonardo da Vinci homosexual lovers. And Leonardo da Vinci, based on Pope Alexander VI, commissions him to paint his son, who is Caesar Borgia, to become this Jesus figure that we see today. Well, this is what Dr. Bart Ehrman said, professor of religious studies at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, right here, right down the street. In the entire first Christian century, Jesus is not mentioned by a single Greek or Roman historian, religious scholars, politicians, philosophers, or poets. His name never occurs in a single inscription, and it is never found in a single piece of private correspondence. Zero, zip, references. What is he trying to tell you as a professor of religious studies? See, I study religion. I'm a master at this shit. This is why you get metaphysics. The life and works of Flavius Josephus, learned an authentic Jewish historian and celebrated warrior, to which is added 7 dissertations concerning Jesus Christ, John the Baptist, James the Just, God's command to Abraham, etc., translated by William Winston, AM, professor of mathematics in the University of Cambridge. Introduction essays by Reverend H. Steubenin, Doctor of Divinity. Now, let's get this right. Concerning Jesus Christ, there's nothing in the Flavor and Josephus stories that speaks of Jesus Christ in that sense. And I'll check this out. 1, Jesus Christ, a testimony of him, page 3, 534. 2, Jesus, the son of Harbet, derived of the high priesthood, 466. Jesus, the son of Ananus, his ominous clamor and death, 825. Jesus or Jason, 361. 5th, Jesus, the son of Saphius, governor of Tiberias, 510, 704. Jesus, brother of Onias, derived of the high priesthood by Antiochus and the Epiphanes, 447. And you have Jesus, son of Gamaliel, made high priest, 599. You have Jesus, the elder priest, after Ananias, 751, 755, his speech at the Idumeans, 751. You have 9, Jesus, son of Damius, made high priest, 599. Jesus, son of Gamaliel, 1314, or Joshua, the son of Nun, right, became the successor of Moses, commander of Israelite against the Amalekites, prophesies in the lifetime of Moses, leads the Israelites to the river Jordan, right, consort after the partitions of the land. His speeches to the 2 tribes and half, his death, 150. Jesus, son of Sapat, ringleader of the robbers, 8733. You have Jesus, the son of Tabutha, a priest, 830. You have Jesus, the son of Sadak, 326. Now, there's a lot of Jesuses. So, who was there a Jesus? So, were there a Jesus? Of course there was a Jesus. Man. Josephus, the 1st century Jewish historian, mentions no fewer than 19 different Yahshuas or Jesus. About half of them contemporaries of the supposed Christ. In his iniquities of 28 high priests who held the office for the reign of Herod the Great in the fall of the temple, no fewer than 4 bore the name Jesus. Jesus ben Firebeat, Jesus ben Sack, Jesus ben Damnius, and Jesus ben Gamaliel. Even St. Paul makes reference to a rival magician preaching another Jesus in 2 Corinthians 11:4, right? So there's a whole lot of Jesuses going on here, but historians would tell you, just as this professor here would tell you, that this Jesus that they talk about here in Flavius Josephus was added. And I'll get to that in a second. All right? This is just some of the Jesuses that we'll go over right here. Here it is. You have Jesus ben Sirach. This Jesus was reputedly the author of the book of Sirach, which is aka Ecclesiasticus, or the wisdom of Jesus, and the son of Sirach, which is part of the Old Testament Apocrypha, and ben Sirach, written in Greek about 180 BC. Okay, so we know that according to the biblical account, Pilate offers the Jews to release just one prisoner, and the cursed race chose Barabbas rather than the gentle Jesus. But hold on a minute. In the original text study by Origen and some recent ones, the chosen criminal was Jesus Barabbas, or Bar-Abba in Aramaic, which means the son of the Father. As we to believe had a Jesus, son of God, or a Jesus, son of the Father, in his prison at the same time, perhaps the truth is that the single executed criminal helped flesh out the whole fantastic fable. Gospel writers in scrambling details use the Aramaic Barabbas, knowing that few Latin and Greek speakers would know its meaning. So this has always been the trick. So here you have Jesus ben Pandera. Right? They always like to talk about Jesus ben Pandera because there's a book written by G.R.S. Mead, which is called Did Jesus Live 100 BC? Get the book, Did Jesus Live 100 BC? By G.R.S. Mead. And he speaks about Jesus ben Pandarus, right? A wonder worker during the reign of Alexander Jannaeus, 106 to 79 BC. One of the most ruthless of the Maccabean kings. Impudently, this Jesus launched into a career of end-time prophecies and agitation, which upset the king. He met his own premature end by being hung on a tree on the eve of a Passover. Scholars have speculated this Jesus found the Essene sect. All right, so this is the closest Jesus that they can get to, is this Jesus here. Then you have Jesus ben Aeneas, right, beginning in 662 AD. And this Jesus had caused disquiet in Jerusalem with a non-stop doom-laden mantra of woe to the city. His prophecies rather vaguely, a voice from the east and a voice from the west, a voice from the four winds, and a voice against Jerusalem and the holy house, a voice against the bridegrooms and the brides, and a voice against the whole people. Josephus, Wars, 6:3. Arrested and flogged by the Romans, Jesus ben Aeneas was released as nothing more dangerous than a madman. Right? He died during the siege of Jerusalem from a rock hurled by a Roman catapult. All right. Then you had another Jesus, Jesus ben Sephat, in the insurgent or insurrection of 68 AD. This wrought havoc in Galilee. This Jesus had led the rebels in Tiberias, the leader of the seditious turmoil of mariners and poor people. Josephus, Life 22.66. When the city was about to fall to Vespasian legionnaires, he fled north to Taricia of the Sea of Galilee. Then you had Jesus ben Carmela. During 68 to 69 AD, this Jesus was a leader of the peace party in the civil war wrecking Judea. From the walls of Jerusalem, he had remonstrated with the besieging of the Hindu means, led by James and John and sons of Susa. It did him no good. When the Edomites reached the walls, he was put to death. All right. You have Jesus ben Thurbat, Thebat, the priest who, in the final compilation of the upper city of 69 AD, saved his own skin by surrendering the treasures of the temple, which included 2 holy candlesticks, goblets of pure gold, sacred curtains and robes of the high priest. The booty figures predominantly in the triumph held by the Vespasian and his son Titus. And then you had the archetypal or allegorical hero was Joshua, the successor of Moses, otherwise known as Yahshua or Yahshua ben Nun, Joseph or Jesus of the fish, right? Since the name Jesus, Yahshua or Yahshu in Hebrew or Esu in Greek, source of English spelling, originally was a title meant savior derived from the Yahweh saves. But was there a crucified Jesus? Certainly. Jesus, now remember, we just showed you that Jesus ben Pandera, say he was crucified. He was hung on a tree on the eve of Passover. That's the closest Jesus that they've been able to get. Fine. But here we have Jesus ben Stator, was a Judea agitator who gave the Romans a headache in the early years of the 2nd century. He met his end in the town of Leda, 25 miles from Jerusalem, at the hands of a Roman crucifixion crew. And given the scale that Roman retribution can reach at a height of the siege of Jerusalem, the Romans were crucifying upward of 500 captives a day before the city walls. Dead heroes called Jesus would quite literally have been thick on the wall. Not one merit as full stop in the great universal history. Sorry, but the Jesus of Nazareth never existed. The reason being is that the town Nazareth did not exist before the 2nd century. Origen words is asserted that Josephus, who discussed more than a dozen Jesuses, did not consider any one of them to be the Christ. See, there's a difference between Jesus and the Christ. Y'all just caught up on the Jesus. In the edition of Origen, published by the Benedictine, it is said that there is no mention of Jesus at all in Josephus before the time of Eusebius, 300 CE. Moreover, in the 16th century, Vossius had a manuscript of the text of Josephus in which there was not a word about Jesus. It seems, therefore, that the passage may have been an interpolation, whether it was subsequently modified or not. In other words, they added that shit. So here it is. It is interesting that the number of Jesuses comes to 14. All right. So we said about up to 19, but we know for sure 14, which happened to be the same number as the 14 pieces of all saw, which was coming to pieces based on the book of coming forth by day and night. Misnomer, the book of the dead. They said that Set cut up all Saul's body into 14 pieces. Well, it just happened to be about 14 Jesuses that we went over. Okay. Jesus of Sirach, Jesus of Ben Pandera, Jesus of Ananias, Jesus of Ben Sapat, Jesus of Gamala, Jesus of Thebat, Jesus of Satada. All right. And we can go back to some of these Jesuses here. All right. The Jesus of Damnius, the Jesus of Josek Sadek. Right. It was about 14 or a little bit more to 19, as it says. Well, we know at least 14. So this line, he was the Christ, or now that there was about the time Jesus, a wise man, if it to be lawful to call him a man, all right, he was the Christ, and therefore he appeared to be alive again the 3rd day, as a divine prophet has foretold these and 10,000 other wonderful things concerning him. that was added allegedly by Dr. Gordon Stein relates that the vast majority of scholars since the early 1800s have said that this quotation is not by Josephus, but rather is a later Christian insertion in his work. In other words, it is a forgery rejected by scholars. This is why this man, Dr. Bart Ehrman, rejected it. But then again, when you have the Jews is going to accept it, but the Jews don't believe in Jesus. But here we have Gordon Stein, who is a Jew, and Ehrman, Bart Ehrman, might be Jewish. In other words, it is a forgery rejected by scholars, and Earl Doherty said in Josephus Unbound, all right, and Charles Ginnerbert, for example, in his Jesus, calls it a pure Christian forgery, right? And before him, Leonard, Pernack, and different other ones said the same thing. But they also speak about another guy by the name of Apollonius of Tyana. And how Apollonius of Tyana, sometimes who was called Apollonius of Tyana, was a Greek Neo-Pythagorean philosopher from the town of Tyana in the Roman province of Cappadocia. Now, Cappadocia is actually the place where the Europeans are found at. All right. In other words, the Albion / coming out the Caucasus Mountains is in Cappadocia, in Anatolia. All right, go and do your research on that. So this is the Europeans' version. All right. And Apollonius was born in a respectable and wealthy Greek family. All right. This is what it said. And they placed him to circulate around 3 BC to 97 AD. All right. Get the book, Life of Apollonius of Tyana. All right. Get the book. Get the book. All right. It's a lengthy, novelistic. Hold on, remember what I told you about novels? Go back and research about them novels. Novels means that is fictitious, it's fictional. Biography written by the sophist Philostratus at the request of Empress Julia Domna, and she died in 217 AD, and completed it after her death, probably in 220 to 230 AD. All right. So them talking about the life of Apollonius of Tyana, all right, did not finish until around 220s to 230s AD, which would be 200 years after this so-called Jesus that you worshiped. Because remember, allegedly, Jesus was born in the year of 024. Allegedly, he was born around 4 BC. This is what some say if you read. And that he died or was killed around 29 AD. All right. Or 28 AD, somewhere around that time, which would give him around the age of 33. All right, this is what is told. Go back and do your research. This is the science here. We're giving you the greatest science of all times concerning your Jesus. All right, so one of the essential sources that Philostratus claimed to know are the memoirs or diaries of Damis, all right, an acolyte and companion of Apollonius. Some scholars claim that the notebooks of Damius was an invention of Philostratus, while others think it could have been a real book forged by someone else and natively used by Philostratus. Philostratus described Apollonius as a wonder teacher of philosophy and miracle workers who were mainly active in Greece and Asia Minor and traveled to Italy, Spain, North Africa, and even Mesopotamia, India, and Ethiopia. In particular, his tells lengthy stories of Apollonius entering the city of Rome in disregard of Emperor Neo banned on philosophers. All right. So we come on down. Historical facts. With the exception of Adana inscription, little can be derived from the source other than Philostratus. All right, Philostratus. So it says, as James Francis put it, the most that can be said is that Apollonius appeared to have been a wanderer, all right, ascetic, philosopher, wonder worker of a type common to the eastern part of the early empire. What we can safely assume is that he was indeed a Pythagorean, and as such, in conformity with the Pythagorean tradition, opposed animal sacrifice, lived on a frugal, strictly vegetarian diet, a minimalist view that can be that he has spent his entire life in the city of his native Asia Minor, which is Turkey, and northern Syria, right? In particular to his hometown of Tyana, Ephesians, Ergan, and Antioch. That there are letters suggested wider travels, and there seems to no reason to deny that, like many wandering philosophers, he at least visited Rome. And for his philosophical convictions, we have an interesting, probably authentic fragment of one of his writings on sacrifices, in which he expressed his views that God, who is the most beautiful being, could not have influenced by prayers of sacrifice, and that no wish to be worshipped by humans, but can be reached by a spiritual procedure involving nous, which is intellect, because he himself is pure nous, or nous is the greatest faculty of mankind. Okay, now you go to the miracles. It's the last part to read here as far as this is concerned. It says, Philostratus implies on one occasion that Apollonius had extrasensory perception. This is books 8, chapter 26. When Emperor Domitian was Domitian was murdered on September 18th, 96 AD, Apollonius is said to have witnessed the event in Ephesus about midday on the day it happened in Rome, and told those present, "Take heart, gentlemen, for the tyranny has been slain this day." Both Philostratus and renowned historian Cassius Dio report this incident, probably on the basis of an oral tradition. Both states that this philosopher welcomed the deed of a praiseworthy tyranny, right? Genocides, tyranncy, right? So tyranny, right? So this is what is said about Apollonius, all right, of Tyana. So we're getting in all the Jesuses, and if you go and get the book, The Historical Jesus and the Mythical Christ, Jeremiah makes a point for Apollonius of Tyana in the book. All right, I don't care about it. All right, it wasn't my Jesus. Definitely wasn't my Christ, so I don't care. Then you have The Pagan Origin of the Christ Myth by John G. Jackson. And you have, of course, Walter Williams, Professor Walter Williams, The Historical Origin of Christianity. And he says, there has never been a man that ever walked in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ. All right, called the created creature, Jesus Christ, which is Serapis, came from, as we told you earlier, during 325 AD by Constantine at the Council of Nicaea. You have the ancient Egyptian god Osiris or Osar, all right? And so now we get into the Gnostic Gospels by Elaine Pagels, right? The papal authority is validated with the invention of Jesus. For the 2nd century, the doctrine served to validate the apostolic succession of bishops, the basics of papal authority to this day, right? So the Pope claims his authority from the apostles who claim authority from Jesus. Yeah. But there was never a God man named Jesus, because we know that was Shu. And I'll get to that in a minute. However, Western societies have lived the ramification of a historicalized concept called Christ, for thousands of years before Christianity. The early church, Catholic Church, and its understand that this church, right, that it was no historical Jesus, and for 2,000 years the Catholic Church had banked on the fact that no one would or could find out and check these facts. Now the time has come where we can find much information at the tip of our fingertips. All right. There was, however, African science spiritual principle called Azu or Asa, which is Heru or Horus. And when you break down the components of the myth from the ancient Egyptian, the historical Jesus unravels in a hurry. Right? I do not get the first Christians didn't know Jesus. It's an E course. It's called the first Christians did not know Jesus. So what is the importance to bring this knowledge to the light? Personally, I don't care what a person chooses to believe if it brings them happiness and expression and about their authentic self. But being made to believe the doctrine born in this ecumenical council of the Catholic Church has caused millions of people much pain and conflict within themselves, to say the least, be they Catholic or Protestant. So this is why we do what we do. All right. You get the book God Man, The Word Made Flesh by George W. Perry and Inez Carey. And this is what they say. The problem is that an uninitiated or unlearned person may read a passage and give it their own interpretation, but their interpretation may not be correct or as in-depth as needed. Therefore, denominations, sects, cults, schisms, and isms may be formed around their interpretation. A cognitive meaning, tending to bring a memory, mood, or image, for example, subtly or indirectly to the mind. All right. But now necessarily the denotive meaning. All right, but not necessarily the denotive meaning. Remember, the denotive meaning means what is real. The real origin, the real meaning of the word, not connotative or cognitive. All right, connotative. All right. So here it says, having the power to explicitly denote and design or rename. Right? That's what you do with a cognitive meaning. You denote it, you design it, and you rename it or name it. Now, this is what Pastor Ray Hagen says, right? Who's a Prince Hall Mason, and he explains this perfectly. He says that all spiritual belief system religions are based on the life and deeds and events of eponymous people that have been culturally literalized and incorporated into the cognitive reality of the people within that culture. An eponymy is a fictional character who a person or a group of people name or characterize themselves after for the sake of giving validity and can identify or identity to their own existence. So the Jews, in order to give the Jewish people, I should say, the converts into Judaism of the Hebrews and Israelites, right? And the Hebrew means Heb-Heru, which means the priest of light, and Israelite means to ascend to God, all right, or to ascend to the power or the force of God, all right, or God. So here it says that many people give validity, just like the Muslims gave validity and identity to themselves by claiming that they come from Ishmael, even though Ishmael did not exist physically. The so-called Jewish people have done the same thing, claiming Moses, who did not exist, Abraham, who did not exist, and claiming that they come from that bloodline as the chosen people, because they can't claim that they come from Abraham and Abraham's son, Jacob, or I should say grandson Jacob, because I think that he comes from Jacob, comes from Isaac, and Jacob's name become Israel, which is actually the name of Asar, Asara, or Asare, Asar. But here, for example, eponymies such as Adamic, Noahic, Hamitic, Shemitic, Japhetic, Abrahamic, Hebrews, Hebraic, Jacob, Israel, Moses, Mosaic, Jesus, Christianity, Muhammad, Mohammedanism, which is called for Islam, Orion, Osiris, which is Osirian, Horus, Heru, Krishna, Hindus, Buddha, Buddhists, Prometheus, Adonis or Adonism, Quetzalcoatlism, Mithricism, Zoroastrianism, and others are used by some to claim their place as God's chosen people to give themselves validity. And that's what is going on. They didn't exist. It's metaphysical, as their own Bible and Quran tells them. So what can they do now? Well, now you have to come up with the allegorical meaning of the prophets then, as they symbolize the chakras. Adam, which means he was made from the dust of the ground. He's made from water, mist of the air, as well as also the ground, the dirt. In the Quran, it says he was made from black mud. So it symbolized that he was the earth element. Adam is the earth element. Then Noah, it rained 40 days and 40 nights. Water fell. He was symbolic to the water element, the navel chakra. So Adam symbolizes the earth element, which is the genital slash what we now refer to as the root or base chakra. Noah symbolizes the water element, which is the navel chakra. Abraham means from the land, he came from the land of Ur, which Ur means fire. He symbolizes the fire element, which symbolizes the solar plexus. David means beloved. And what you love with is your heart. And what covers your heart is your lungs, which is the air element. Moses said, I do not speak eloquently, let my people, and then the next breath, let my people go. He symbolizes the sound element, which is the ether element. And then Jesus the Christ, if that eye be single, that whole body will be filled with light. He symbolizes the Son of Man, hence Manus, which is light. He's the light of the world. And then you have Muhammad, which Jesus says, I will send a comforter after me. Right? And Muhammad is the last seal. He's the seal of the prophets. He's the last seal of the prophets. The last seal is the crown chakra. So Jesus symbolizes the third eye, because he's the way. Right? Moses symbolizes the throat chakra. David symbolizes the heart chakra. You see, so these are chakras. These stories about your chakra system. This is the problem. And instead, we take the 7 seals of the book of Revelations and we transform it into literal things that can happen externally instead of things that happens internally. This is why we have the 7 seals of Revelation. The first seal was the white horse. I broke down the white horse to you and how that is nothing more than a hippocampus area in the brain. You had the second seal, the red horse. The third seal, the black horse. The fourth seal, the pale horse. The fifth is the mortars cry out. And then you had the sixth seal, which is celestial signs. Remember the earthquakes, the volcanic activity that's been going on. Then the sun darkens, moon turns to red, the stars fall, the sky recedes. Well, hold up. You just had the red moon, the blood moon. Could it correlate to the Revelation 6:12 through 17? Then you had the seventh seal, which is the rapture. Heaven is silent about a half an hour. Revelations 11:12. Come up here. All this is talking about your goddamn chakra system, the seven seals of the book of Revelation. The same science behind the seven prophets, the same as the seven Elohims that you read about within the Gnostic texts. The archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Israel, Raphael, Gimiel, Samuel, Uriel. Same stuff, y'all. Same as the Orishas, Obatala, Shango, Ogun, Oya, Imiya, Orumilia, Ishualegba. Those seven, the seven African powers as they're called, nothing more than your chakras, your seven endocrine glands, your pineal gland, pituitary gland, your thyroid gland, your thymus gland, your pancreas, spleen, your adrenal glands. The genitals for the man is the prostate and the testes. For the woman, the uterus and the ovaries. The seven major, quote unquote, endocrine glands, hormonal, that promotes hormonal balance in your body. Come on, y'all, we got to stop with all this bullshit. Because externally is not more important than what's going on internally. Greater is he within you than he that is in the world. Oral Roberts told you that shit damn 30 years ago.
Salvador and Super Chat.
Salvador, appreciate that. Much love, much love. All right, so here we have the picture of Pale Muhammad. This is what they love. Now, you ain't supposed to have no picture of Pale Muhammad, but sure enough, they make pictures of Pale Muhammad. But yet, even when we go and find out that the Quran does not forbid images of Prophet Muhammad, even though the Sunni pale Arabs would tell you that. Do you know why images of Prophet Muhammad is banned? They don't know why. Why? I do, because they don't want you to know the truth. Because Muhammad, according to history or his story, was black. All right? It's the 18th verse of Murdid, which is in the Hadith, that calls for the ban of image of the prophet. It was composed by the white or / convert cultural appropriator James Arthur Wiseman or Wackerman, Waxman in 1668. The fact that one of the great cultures of the world was founded by the ancestors of Africans or African Americans scared the white colonialists so much that they cooked up a fake religious side book to the Holy Quran to suppress the true history of black people. Because guess what? The Quran specifically says that Adam was made from black mud. That's carbon, y'all. The black mud that they talk about is celestial element, which is carbon. Carbon is black, and it is made up of being. The carbon is 666, 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. But you're not supposed to dwell in 666, even though it's the mark of the beast, it's a number of a man. You're supposed to transform that shit into 616, 6 protons, 1 neutron, 6 electrons, which is carbon 7. You're supposed to transform it into God's number, which is the number 7. Hence the circle 7, which symbolizes the 7 chakras. Also the carbon element, carbon 7, or what we refer to as the 6th day, because it says Adam was made on the 6th day. Hence carbon being the sixth element on the periodical chart. Hence, that symbolizes the sixth day. But here we have J. Rogers, one of the most preeminent of the Black African historians, right? This is what it says here, right? Or as we would say, one of the greatest Moorish American historians, right? We have Muhammad himself was at all accounts a Negro. This is what J. Rogers says. A contemporary of him described as a large mouth and bluish color with hair that was neither straight nor curly. Muhammad's mother was also African. His grandfather, Abdullah Mutalib, is spoken of being very dark. A Negroid strand, more or less predominant, ran through the whole. And King said, all who accept the Quran becomes merged with the conquerors in a common Negroid population. So this is why they did what they did. All right. Now, only thing this means is that we wrote the books. Not that necessarily that Muhammad existed, because we know that there was no person by the name of Muhammad, as Professor Walter Williams stated in African origin, of historical origin of Islam. All right. His name was Ahmed. All right. And allegedly Ahmed changed his name to Muhammad after he left his people from out of Ethiopia. Okay. So it's the same thing that happened with Abram, who changed his name to Abraham. It becomes a title. Okay. It's a title. Okay. You got to understand the difference between names and titles. Melchizedek is a title. Christ is a title. You think it's a person's second name, Jesus Christ. You think that's his damn surname. That's his last name. No, that's his title. He was striving to reach Christhood, just like you're supposed to be trying to reach Christhood. Here it is, Historical Origin of Islam by Walter Williams. There never was a man that ever walked the earth in human form by the name of Muhammad, the prophet of traditional Islam. And then you got to get the book by Robert Spencer. Did Muhammad exist? An inquiry into Islam's obscure origins. Damn, did Muhammad exist? Now, I was the first one to even say that shit on tape. Back in the late 80s. Back in the late 90s. In early 2000s. I've been saying it. And this is me as a Moor. This is why some Moors don't like me. Because they are caught up into man worship. I'm not. I understand what Prophet Noble Ali said too. Allah in man. That's all I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about Allah and man and the holy breath. Everything else, fuck it. That's not, I don't care. I do this as far as getting information out to you in order to help you along in your journey. But truthfully, I'm into the holy breath and I'm into Allah and man. All right. As a Moor, that's what I'm concerned about. Ain't concerned about you parroting, Prophet Noble Ali, or your belief about what you think should be and how it runs and so forth and so on. All that shit is irrelevant to me. That's not really my concern. Not saying that we can't have organization, because oftentimes we need that. I'm just saying that the most important aspect to life is the holy breath, Allah and man, the higher self. That's what I'm concerned about. That's what you should be concerned about. Whether you call yourself a Moor, Hebrew, Israelite, Christian, Muslim, Hebrew, Hindu, Buddhist, Taoist, Shinto, whatever you want to call yourself. All those are labels. Labels, titles, names, learn the difference. Once again, I'm concerned about the holy breath, the higher self, and Allah in man. Okay? That's what I'm concerned about. So I'm trying to get you to that level for those that watch us on this channel. That's what we're trying to get you to, so that you can understand the real essence here. So we know that the word chakra in Sanskrit means spinning wheels of light, thought, color, and sound. Hence Ezekiel 1:16 says he describes a wheel within a wheel. Those are the chakras, manage and facilitated the energy in the body. They each have their own energies that affects the body differently. There are hundreds of chakras in the body, actually 144, but there's 28 main ones, all right? And out of those 28, you have 7 that corresponds with the 7 bodies or the main endocrine glands, which aligns the body with the middle of the spinal column, which is the tree of life. The endocrine glands are the glands in the body that secrete majority of the hormones and distribute it throughout the human body. So balance the chakras so only means healthy endocrine glands, but also control over the circulation of the hormones. Each chakra has its own color or element, which is Roy G. Biv. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Same colors of the rainbow, allegedly, are the same colors of your chakras. And of course, everyone don't have the same colors. However, that is the closest on which that we can get to understand that you have a rainbow body, which is the same thing that was told to you about Joseph in the Old Testament, that he had a rainbow coat and that his coat was taken from him by his 11 brothers. That is symbolic to the fact that his aura, because that what that coat symbolized, his aura. Right? So you have a rainbow coat. Right? So each chakra has its own color, element, and sound that vibrates a particular endocrine gland in the body. In the Bible, they're known as the 7 Elohims, the 7 prophets, the 7 angels, the 7 Orishas, the 7 Loha. Over and over again. Every time you see the number 7, that's what it's talking about. They mention the number 7 at least 24 times in the book of Revelations. The 7 stars, the 7 candlesticks, the 7 lightnings, the 7 thunders, the 7, over and over again. The 7 chakras of the body, endocrine glands, the magical connection between the material and spiritual realms. Many people are still living in it at their root chakra. And their lives are controlled by food, sex, and sleep. Or, as we call it, the 5 everyday nigger shit. Eat, sleep, shit, fucking go to work. See, Muslims have their 5. All right, they take their shahada. They do pilgrimage, Hajj. They do Saum, which is fasting during the month of Ramadan. Okay. They do benevolence, gifting. Okay. And they believe Tawheed, the oneness of God. These are Muslims' 5 pillars of faith. But the everyday nigga shit, oh, that's eat, sleep, shit, fucking go to work. Oh, shit now. That's all I give a damn about, because I'm at my root chakra, niggas. I'm at my root chakra. But the whole life is controlled by food, sex, and sleep. To fully realize our personal potential in society, we need to activate all of our chakras: sex, ambition, health, our heart's emotions, and our social voice, our intelligence, our intellect, and our soul are all line up with each chakra. As we activate higher areas like the heart, throat, and mind, which is the head, you develop and can experience the more fully capabilities that our bodies are designed for. To activate each chakra, the combination of yoga for health, meditation for technique and understanding in a healthy environment are needed. Science confirms that the physical heart is similar to the brain. Why? Because they have neurons in the heart as well as also in your digestive system. You have 3 areas in your body that has neurons in which that sends the messages out, in which that is accumulated through your life experience. And it responds physiologically, which controls our realities or apparent realities that is. So our sense of intuition and emotions are controlled by the heart, and the brain then follows with reason. The heart should be exercised daily through filling it with thoughts and emotions of love, right? That's what you should do. You should just simply, matter of fact, it is said that if you had these feelings for about a year or two of simple love, because God is love, as your Bible tells you, and you just simply do everything with love, no regrets, no anger, no frustration, not only would you relieve anger from your liver, because anger is stored in the liver, rejection is stored in the genitals, depression is stored in the lungs, stress is stored in the brain, hatred is stored in the heart, fear is stored in the kidneys. So not only will you release those lower emotions, you will actually be able to develop your psychic abilities and eventually your rainbow body. Science also knows that our heart sends biorhythmic energy into the environment, affecting others. So if your heart was open, that's what you will receive is love. Also, our bodies and personalities can be physically and spiritually diagnosed through the chakra system. By meditating on our habits, we can decipher what we need to grow. Physically and psychologically, we can listen to our bodies and we can hear what our body, soul needs attention to. If your attention is always on your stomach, then you probably have problems at the root and heart chakra as they meet in the middle. If your social skills, throat chakra needs improvement, then your heart, emotions, and your thoughts should be looked at. Being over emotional can be symptomatic at the heart and can be affected by poor nutrition and communication. And overly intellectual stimulation is no better. But sometimes I got to bust a goddamn brain cell up in this bitch. Okay. So here we have the book of Revelations again, and it has now the 7 churches. Well, the 7 churches, what churches? Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamos, Thyatira, Atir, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. These are the 7 churches that is mentioned in the book of Revelation. They have these various passages, problems, and how to overcome those problems is given to you in the book of Revelation. Ephesians, nevertheless, I have somewhat against thee, because thou have left thy first love. Remember, therefore, for whence thou art fallen, and repent and do the first work. And else I will come upon thee quickly and will remove thy candlestick out of thy place, except thou repent. What is the candlestick? The candlestick is your pineal gland. That's the candlestick. That's what's supposed to be sparked or lit. And you can't do that unless you repent. So you're thinking repenting from just sins. No, it's talking about don't having your pineal gland calcified. Overcoming the problems. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit say unto the churches. To him that overcometh, I will give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. In other words, God will give you access of Kundalini activity through your nervous system. This is in Ephesians or Ephesus. Excuse me, Ephesus. All right, this is in Ephesus. So look at that. Now you have Smyrna, right? And here, problem. I know the works or tribulations and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of which say that they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Overcoming. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit has said to churches, for he overcome shall not hurt of the second death. So we know that a real Jew is one who is chosen by God. And how do you become chosen of God? You decalcify your pineal gland and you activate it through worship of your God within. Hence, you can now beat the second death. Oh, you didn't know that there's two deaths? Your physical body can die, and so can your soul. Oh, yeah. But your soul don't have to die. Neither do your body. Oh, now we get into some good shit. Pergamos 2:12, it says, but I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there thee them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. So thou hast also told them to hold the doctrine of Nicaea, which things I hate. Overcoming the problem. He that has an ear, let him hear that the Spirit is saying unto the churches, to him that overcometh will I give to eat of the hidden manna, and give him a white stone, and the stone of the new name written, which no man knoweth save him that has received it. Well, guess what? Here we go again. The hidden manna is prana, in which that enters the mind, which that changes the mindset, the brain, eventually the whole anatomy. But this is done by way of the white stone, which is talking about your pineal gland. When the Kundalini hits the pineal gland, which is talking about, quote unquote, the candlestick, as we read, that candlestick, all right, becomes enlightened at the pineal gland. That's the wick. The candlestick with the wick is the spinal column and the pineal gland. Pineal gland becomes that white stone. When the Kundalini hits it and strikes, it becomes like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Rihanna. You don't know nothing about that. That ain't too old school. Some of y'all might know. All right, so here we have Thyatira. Nevertheless, I have a few things against thee, because thou suffered with the woman Jezebel, when they call herself a prophetess, to teach and seduce my servants to commit fornication, to eat things sacrificed unto the idols. And I gave to her space to repent of her fornication, and she repented not. See, the reason why they keep talking about fornication is because biblically we know that by wasting your seed over and over again, you cut out the power of raising Kundalini. Kundalini must have sexual energy to raise up. The Kundalini is raised up by sexual energy. So if you wasting it by fornicating, everyday niggas, every night niggers, then you can't raise Kundalini properly. And as Panic says, no Kundalini for you. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works until the end, to him I will give him power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. Uh-oh, you already know what the rod is. The rod of iron starts at the phallus, the penis. That's the rod, right? And the iron goes up, which is the blood, the hemoglobins, right? It's talking about throughout the body. And see, that rod also extends up to the spinal column, to the pineal gland. It says, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I receive my Father. So the Father is up in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Well, that's in the pineal gland. The Father is Ptah or Ta. In the pineal gland, that's the pineal gland, is the Father. That's the Father who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. The God within, Allah in man. Sardis, it says problems. Be watchful and strengthen the things which remains and thou ready to die. For I have not found thy work perfect before God. Overcoming, he that overcometh shall say in the clothes of white raiments, and I will not blot out his name in the book of life. For I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. See, you thinking some old Jehovah Witness shit on here. No, this is talking about the clothing or white raiment. It's talking about your aura, your white aura. And I will not blot out your name out of the book of life. It's talking about your DNA. You will be with the ancestors, but I will confess the name before my Father, the pineal gland. So you will raise the ancestral energies from your root chakra up into your pineal gland before the angels, which is called the cherubims or the cerebrums, the two hemispheres of your brain, which symbolizes the two wings in which that stretches out on the caduceus or the uraeus. God damn it. See, I'm in all fucking spookism. I'm making you the spook. That's why I'm Dr. Spookism. Right, several years ago, Ali Muhammad and Wesley Muhammad had flyers out with me, Bobby, and Phil, all of us on tombstones and shit, talking about the death to spookism. Well, goddamn it, I'm Dr. Motherfucking Spookism. Joel Benjamin is damn MC Spookism. We told y'all that already if you watched the video. All right, then you have Philadelphia. Behold, I will make them of a synagogue of Satan, which say that they are Jews, and they are not, but do lie. But behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Overcome? Him that overcoming would I make the pillars in the temple of my God. Now, what's the temple? What's the temple of God? The temple of God is your physical body. And what pillar is this that they talking about? The pillar is talking about your spinal column, the digit. And he will go no more out. And I will write him upon the name of my, and I write upon it my name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is the New Jerusalem, which is the new mind, the new brain. The dendritic synapses will fire off, because guess what? At the crown chakra, you 1,000 times more powerful than the rest of the chakras, which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and I will write upon him my new name. You will become now Emmanuel. Because remember, Emmanuel was the name that Jesus had in the Old Testament and the New Testament. Emmanuel means to be, or God to be with you, or to actually to be, or God to be in you. Hence, Allah in man. Laodicean, all right, 3:14 says problems. I know thy works and that they are neither cold nor hot. I was, I would though were wet or cold, cold or hot, excuse me. So they before they are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot. I will spew thee out of my mouth. All right, well, overcoming, to him that overcometh, I will grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I've overcome, and I am come, and I have sat down with my Father in his throne. Right? The throne is the third ventricle. The Kundalini has been risen to the third ventricle, and what is made within the solar plexus monthly, every 28 days, was risen up by the Kundalini into the pineal gland to give you access. That is the Black Madonna and Child, actually, and we'll get into that. Here you have a better understanding of the centers, Bergamos, Philadelphia, the Tataria, which is the supreme test, the test of the heart, Ephesus, Ephesus, excuse me, Sardis, and Laodicea. And unto the angels of the churches of Ephesus, Ephesus, excuse me, writes these things, saying that unto hold up to the 7 stars in the right hand that walketh in the midst of the 7 candlesticks. Here go the 7 candlesticks right here to your right. Thus the 7 planets were the 7 old gods of Babylonian. Samish, the sun, Sin, the moon, Nebo, Mercury, Ishtar, Venus, Nagao, Mars, Marduk, Jupiter, and Ea, which is Enki, Saturn. So these sevens symbolizes the 7 planets, which correlates to the 7 chakras. Then you have other names of gods as nearly every Orient country. To the Hebrews, they are the archangels Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Samiel, Uriel, Amiel, and Sardiel, or Sarkiel. Basically the same names I told you, which you can find in the Dictionary of Angels by Godwin. To the early Christians, they were the angels of the 7 churches. They was represented among the Jews, Babylonians, Egyptians, Persians, because guess what? In Egypt, they had the 7 souls of Ra, called the 7 Aritus, or the 7 Hedherus, or the 7 Hathors. Right? The Persians by 7 branches candlesticks, Manoah, or the 7 flames altar fire. See, get into the cosmology, the origin of myths and symbols, the Dogons, from the Dogons, the ancient Egyptians to India, Tibet, and China by Lord Scratton. Each thread is said to pass through a series of 7 vibrations inside of a tiny egg, which the Dogon calls the Polopilu, which we take as likely counterpart to a tiny wrapped up bundle of 7 dimensions in string theory, or torsion theory called the Chalabi space. It is this component of matter that the Dogon priests call the egg of the world, and describes it as a pivotal component of matter to be found in the world just below ours. The vibration inside the egg are conceived of 7 rays of a star of increasing length and represented by yet another Dogon drawing. The figures of this drawing are read from right to left, like Egyptian glyphs, as they are arranged in some inscriptions. Inscriptions are like the letters of traditional Hebrew texts. Here, the 7 stages of the Hopilu, right? It symbolizes vortexes, mass of swirling fluid or air, especially a whirlpool or whirlwind, right? This is it. So these 7 Dogon stages of the Popilu is talking about your chakra system. How we know? Here it is. Here's go the serpent and the egg right here. The serpent and the egg. All right, here you have Akhenaten in Akhenaten hymns. Let's look at it. Pharaoh Akhenaten in his hymns to the sun, Aten, he says the sun is seen as a vital force. This is what Dr. Hart remarks, right? That the sun is seen as a vital force, maintain the multitude of natural phenomena. It is well the original motive for life in all animated beings. The sun shapes the infinites in the woman's womb. The sun creates semen in the father, and in particular, observant and artful passage. The sun is depicted as breathing life into an egg to enliven the chick before it breaks forth from the shell. This solar breath of life pervades the Egyptian obsession with cheating death, as the solar imagery throughout the extensive ancient Egyptian funeral and mortuary literature is clear and persistent. With this decrease in his efforts to obtain resurrection and immortality, continuously likens to the sun in his daily battle with the darkness of night. Okay, so this is the serpent and the egg. Go to Tao and Longevity, Mind-Body Transformation by Wing Chuan Chu, PhD. He says the term latent energy, Kundalini, etc., as well as known in yoga, exoteric Buddhism, and Taoism. However, most who engage in these practices misunderstand the nature of this latent energy or Kundalini, and therefore may die of high blood pressure, congestion in the brain, or sinopsychosis, or senile psychosis such as schizophrenia. They do not know that this so-called Kundalini is the warmth phenomenon of the heat Dharma, which in Buddhism is the first stage of Kadis Kosola Mula, which is the four good roots of strong fruit or the source of development. It is easy to mistake the feeling of warmth and heat around the lower abdomen or perineum for the awakening of Kundalini. This is often an evil fire rather than a genuine awakening of the latent energy. Okay? See, this is what we talking about, Shakti energy instead of Kundalini Shakti. Shakti by itself is not good. Only in conjunction with Kundalini is Shakti energy good, Kundalini Shakti. But Shakti by itself is just warm energy, right? So right here, this is why we have the 7 stages of consciousness. No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. Albert Einstein. True teaching is not an accumulation of knowledge, it is the awakening of consciousness, which goes through successful stages. Ancient Egyptian proverb. And we told you all the ancient or successful stages before. 18 breaths, 9 breaths, 7.5 breaths, 6 breaths, 4.5, 3, 1 breath a minute. Okay? Won't get into that right now. That's another class. So here, we gave you the science behind metaphysics of the allegorical 7 prophets. Well, let's go a little bit further with that. Muhammad, which symbolizes thought or reflecting ether, is the last seal of the prophets, thus symbolizing the element prana, or the last seal in man, the crown chakra. Actually, this is the photonic galaxy-like cloud, the internal replica of the external Milky Way galaxy that hovers over the pineal gland that transports the spiritual soul, astral or star body upward every night to explore the Milky Way. Okay? Thus, the origin of Al-Majid, all right? Majid, which is the night of power, which is called the night of El-Miraj, of the Prophet Muhammad, who traveled up into the 7 heavens to see the prophets, angels, and God on a white horse-type creature animal called the Baruch. Now we know in Greek mythology, the flying white horse is Pegasus. In the book of Revelation, Jesus come out the heavens on a flying white horse. And we have Muhammad flying on a white horse called the Baruch, meaning shining light. That is talking about the Kundalini Shakti force appearing in whitish silvery color, like the element Mercury. Also, Mercury was the Greek messenger, or mess, which is short for Messiah, God. His Roman English transliteration name was Quicksilver. His Hebrew equivalent is the Archangel Gabriel, which is Gabor Tahudi, the messenger of God. According to the Holy Quran, who came to Prophet Muhammad and taught him, Gabriel, the Baruch, is the animal, lower nature, man, self of man, mind, self of man, which is called the Kundalini Shakti force that raises up through the 7 heavens, called the 7 chakras. Alchemically, Muhammad symbolizes the crown chakra, as we said, but you go to Sufi Ibn al-Arabi, propounds that view that as the Muhammadan reality, which is called al-Haq, Muhammadiyah, and it says that Muhammad is identical. Now, Ibn al-Arabi is, according to Professor Walter Williams, is who Muhammad is based upon. The life story of Muhammad is based upon the Sufi Ibn al-Arabi. All right? This is another reason why Muhammad didn't exist, because it was based on one who did exist, who was Ibn al-Arabi. And he says Muhammad is identical with the first intelligence or intellect, the external principle unifying the immutable entities. All the other prophets, beginning with Adam, only becomes prophets during their mission, In other words, all major chakras below the crown chakra. Each were the bearer of the fragment of the Mohammedan reality in a particular place and time. Now, this is what Sufi Ibn al-Arabi says, composed partially the mythical character Muhammad. Now, you can read that in Historical Origin of Islam, once again, by Professor Walter Williams. Note to say that Muhammad was merely an allegory does not mean that there was no man of flesh, but this name who play a role in creating the myth. All right. Now, according to Alberto Rivera, an ex-Jesuit priest who claims to have received this message from the Cardinal B in the Vatican, St. Augustine became bishop in Algeria, North Africa, and was very effective in converting Arabs to Roman Catholicism. All right. Tutoring a man who later assumed the title Muhammad to play a key role in the new religion while the Holy Quran was written in Rome. It may be that Abu al-Qasim Ahmed ibn Abdullah Mustafa al-Amin ibn Abdullah al-Muttalib ibn Hashem changed his name to the title Muhammad, but the character remains an allegory and a mythical or metaphysical idea. That's just what it is. Jesus, the light ether, allegorically states that when the eye is single, the whole body will be filled with light, symbolizes the element manis, which is mana, as in the Son of Man, the brow or third eye chakra, actually the first eye or pineal gland, triangularly shaped like the head of the penis or pine cone shape, is the fruit of the tree of life via the pituitary glands. Then you have Moses, symbolizes ether, sound, life ether. Allegorically, let my people go. Yet he was not eloquently in speech. And at one point, his brother Aaron or Anan had to do the talking for him, thus symbolizes the element ether, throat chakra, or the thyroid or parathyroid glands. 4, David, air, chemical ether, means the Hebrew dialect beloved, thus symbolizes the element air, the heart chakra, or the thymus gland. 3, Abraham, fire, gas, allegorically came from the land of Ur, right? Or Cairo, or Ur to the Chaldean. Ur means fire in the Chaldean Hebrew dialect, thus symbolizes the element fire, the solar plexus or pancreas organ. Also, Chaldea means abode of demons. The solar plexus is part of the 4 devils or the 4 lowest chakras. Get the book, Why Does Muhammad or Any Muslim Murder the Devil? By Amir Fatir. And get Jewel in the Lotus by my teacher, Grandmaster Sunyata Saraswati. Alayhi salam upon him. Then you have Noah, which is water, liquid. Built the ark, boat. The uterus is the shape of an ankh or ark. Is the womb, is the boat that is filled by the waters of life, hence sperm, semen. To survive the 40 days and 40 nights, which symbolizes the 40 weeks of pregnancy going into the 10th month. Rain fell. This is talking about when the water, when the woman's water breaks, when the child comes out, falls to the earth. This symbolizes the element water, this navel, sacral chakra, and or the uterus, womb man, and the prostate gland or the sperm palace manufacturers, which manufactures DNA in the man, and in the sacral plexus, a triangular shaped area at the base of the spinal column up from the coccus or tailbone area exists the bachelor pores of mitosis, or the 8 dividing cells of physical life that never changes your whole entire life. You have 76 trillion cells in your body, and these 8 cells stay the exact same your whole entire life. They are the matrix, architect, or master builder, or Hayim Abith, or Sar, or Heru, and the teacher of the father of physical life. Right? In ancient Kemet, Egypt, there was Su, or Shu, Tefnut, Geb, Nut, or Sar, or Set, Set, or Sut, and Nebhet, or Nebeti, all of which was produced by Atum, Adam. atom or atom cadmium, which hence is talking about carbon atom, who emerged from noon, the state of nothingness, or ein, which is new, in the new Ankh or Noah, or life as it emerged from the triple stage of darkness, or the triple state of blackness, or triple stage of darkness. Thus, Noah represents the primordial waters of life. In other words, all physical life emerges from the unseen, invisible, spiritual atom. Heavenly man, atom means mind, thus higher mind, to a visible, seen visible matter or material state. Fallen man, thus lower mind. Then you have one, which is atom, earth, solid. It was made from the dust of the ground or clay in Genesis, meaning genes or genealogy, from the Holy Bible, Helios Biblios, or means the sun pages or sun book. In other words, originally conveyed by true Ma sons or children of the sun, which is Adam, or rather Adamites. In the Holy Quran means cycle or sun cycle or chronology. All right. The word Quran comes from chronicles or chronology, means time. So sun time or sun cycle. Adam was made from black mud. In other words, black matter, dark matter, or black energy, melanin or celestial dust in the flesh, thus symbolizing the element earth, the base or root chakra in the testes and penis or pineal gland. Triangular shaped head of the penis is called the little head. Sounds phonetically like the pineal gland or the big head, right? Therefore, let's stop talking or thinking about with our little heads, because it is bound to leave us dangling. You get it? Learn the science of Tantra Kriya Yoga, Tao sexology, and the secrets of regeneration. Sex is not just for the purpose of reproduction. It is also as another facet, which is the science of healing. Right? So you had to get that in because we want you to understand that Jesus symbolizes your third eye in this sense, or your first eye also, all right, which sits at the near the top of the head, all right? And as is Jesus in the swaddling clothing, that's talking about the soul being embedded inside the pineal gland, is swaddling clothing. Okay, that's what this is all talking about. All right, so we know that Serapis was a deity invented by the Ptolemies, and actually it was meant to bridge the gaps between the Egyptian and Greek's subjects. The Ptolemies were one of the successors of Alexander the so-called Great and ruled over Egypt until it was conquered by the Romans in 30 BC. As the Ptolemies was foreign dynasty, and both Greek and Egyptian subjects, they need to take measures to solidify their rule. One of these was the invention of the Greco entity or Greco-Egyptian deity called Serapis. All right, this is why it was made, Serapis or Osiris, appealing to the Egyptians. The man responsible for this creation of Serapis was Ptolemy I, one of Alexander the Great, most capable general and the founder of the Ptolemaic dynasty. Okay. And Strabo also mentions other temples in to Serapis in Egypt. For instance, the Serapeum in Canopus is recorded to be renowned for curing the sick. It contains the temple of Serapis, which is honored with a great reverence, effects such cures that even the most reputable men believe in and sleep in it, believing that on their own behalf or others for them. So another Serapeum is recorded in Strabo to be found in the city of Memphis or Menkauptah. Right. Nevertheless, the cult of Serapis, thus created by the Ptolemies for a specifically Greek Egyptian context, gained some popularities beyond the borders of Egypt as well. This is evidence in the number of temples dedicated to Serapis that has been found in Italy and Turkey. The Greek Serapis was for a time not only appealing to the original audience, but to others as well. Right, this is what we're all talking about. So now you can get the book by D.M. Murdoch. It states that Jesus Christ of the New Testament is a fictional compilation of characters, not a single historical individual, a compilation of the multiple people is not one. When the mythological and the mirage layers are removed, there remain no historical core to the onion. All right, this is what we just talked about earlier. The evidence reveals that the gospel story is a myth historicalized, not history mythologicalized. All right, this is what you have here. How we know who brought this information to the forefront is that here you have new buildings in Nicopolis by the time the Strabos wrote his geography. And here it says, nevertheless, the building existed until 389 AD when it was destroyed by the order of the Emperor Theodorus. Now, this is Theodorus who is standing on top of a Moor's head, as you see here. Okay, this is them trying to rule, all right, over our information, as they always do. Are you right? All right, so we have Gnostics and Historical Christianity by Gerald Massey. All right, that's what we have here. All right, and you have the Gnostic denies a physical resurrection. The Essenes and Gnostics absolutely denied the physical resurrection because they were spiritualists. Therefore, it was impossible for an Essene to have taught the resurrection of the dead at the last day as Jesus is made to do. Okay, this is from Gerald Massey's Gnostics and Historical Christianity. And see, Gerald Massey was alleged a Christian, but he couldn't have lied to you like most of them do. He had to see how this came into existence. The Christ of the Gnostics was a mythical or mystical type, continued from the mythology to portray a spiritual reality of the interior life. In other words, from within, the spiritual reality from within. Hence, the Christ in this human phase could be female as well as male. See, this is what is not talked about, how women can be Christos, Christ. Think it's only the men? Nah. See, this is the beautiful thing about the Gnosticism. They don't forget about the female. Neither does the Catholic Church. That's only the Protestant that does that. The Protestants put Mary in her place. Matter of fact, put her on a pedestal. You got to do Hail Marys when you do some sin up in there. Get your prayer beads and Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary. And Mary is Auset. Her name is Auset Mary, M-E-R-I, which becomes M-A-R-Y. Hence, the Christ in this human phase can be female as well as male. Sophia as well as Jesus, the spirit of both sexes. It was impossible for such to become historical or to be made so, except by ignorantly mistaking a mythical impersonation for a hermaphrodite in person. Well, well. So 1 Corinthians 3:16, you have to ask Christians why they always bypass. They talking about they go buys the Bible. Well, you shouldn't have bypassed these verses. Corinthians 3:16. Do you not know that you are the temple of God and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? For anyone defiles the temple of God, God will destroy him, for the temple of God is holy, which temple you are. 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. Or do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have from God, and you're not your own? For you was bought at a price, therefore glorify God in your body, Allah in man, in your spirit with your gods. 2 Corinthians 13:5. Do you not know yourself that Jesus Christ is in you? So here you have verses that correlates that the Holy Trinity is within you. Allah in man. Acts 7:48. The Most High dwells not in temples made with hands. Put that together with Jesus' statement that the kingdom of God is within you from Luke 17, 21. For look, behold, look there nor there, for behold, the kingdom of God is within you. Haile Selassie, a Coptic Christian, tells you the real science behind the Coptic Christians. Spirituality, that the Negus or the King of Kings. He says that the temple of the Most High begins with the human body, which houses our life, essence, our existence. African are in bondage today because they approach spirituality through religion provided by foreign invaders and conquerors. We must stop confusing religion and spirituality. Religion is a set of rules, regulations, and rituals created by humans, which were supposed to help people grow spiritually. Due to human imperfections, religions have become corrupt, political, divisive, and a tool for power struggle. Spirituality is not theology or ideology. It is a simple way of life, pure and simple. Right? It's a simple way of life. That's just what it is. All right? So I'm going to end it right there, and we're going to come back tomorrow and continue on with these sciences. All right? You know, if there's any, I guess if there's any questions. Let me see here. All right, so let's see here. All right, so let me see if there's any question. Thank you, Brother Tangus. Appreciate you, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. All right, so let's see here. All right, just always Satan in the stomach. This is where he dwells. It says scriptures always say Satan is in the stomach. It is where he dwells. Right, exactly. But Satan is called that's why they call your stomach the pit of the stomach. The pit. And then remember, the preachers are in the pulpit. So what the hell are they pulling down into the pit? Okay, I ain't gonna go there. I ain't the one that called it that shit, but you know, that's what they call it, right? Right or wrong. All right. But yeah, Satan is in the pulpit. All right. And Satan actually, in the sense, symbolizes carbon 666, which is mark of the beast, which is your melanin. All right. But it also symbolizes the place where your root chakra is located at, which is below the pit of your stomach. All right. In which that is talking about your genitals, your sexual nature. Hence the reason why we say I'm horny is because the devil has horns, and his pitchfork is talking about his phallus. That's his pitchfork. All right, symbolically. All right, because it's talking about the penis and the two testicles, symbolic to the three, which is the pitchfork. And then he's the color red, which symbolizes the root chakra, which is the color red. All right, so that's what this is all talking about right here. All right, so let me continue on. See what else. I know where Satan dwells. I forgot which church that was. All right. Exactly. I got you. Yeah. Well, when I got to the sexual joint on there, then you know which one it was. Exactly. Well, it could be Pergamos. It could be. All of that is just talking about the way in which that it correlates to the story. Right. So the UL said, I can't figure out to take body unless they have meant rainbow body. Right. That's what is meant by rainbow. The resurrection is talking about within 3 days and 3 nights after the death is the resurrection. Jesus exit from the sepulchre. Of course, astrologically, that is talking about the on the day, December the 25th, after the 3 days of September, 21st, 22nd, going to the 23rd, out of the 24th, and then you come off course, you know, rising up 3.5 days or 3 days and 3 nights symbolizes that resurrection astrologically. That's astral theology. But however, inside of you, it takes 3 days and 3 nights in order to make that fish, which is that element within your solar plexus, which is called the manger, in which that the Kundalini is supposed to raise up and take that back into the pineal gland, that it becomes the Mother Mary and Christ child. All right, that's what that is all talking about. Of course, with you mastering that, you get the rainbow body over time. Okay, that's what that is all about. Over time, you become and take on the rainbow body. It takes about 13 years to 60 years to master rainbow body, right? And even then, you have to be able to have positive thoughts the whole time. It means even as you're working, you can't be complaining, no gossiping, none of that. None of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's real tedious to make that level. You know what I'm saying? This is why the monks go off and get away from people and you know, the Shaolin monks, the Buddhist monks, who are the Shaolin monks, also Buddhists, the Taoist monks, the yogi masters, and different other ones. They leave, they get away from people. You know what I'm saying? Then where can you get the book on Revelation? Oh, that's the Bible. Oh God, you can get the book in the Bible. Yeah, that's the book of Revelation in the Bible. Oh, okay. He was asking if it was apocryphal. Yeah, the apocryphal, you can get several joints. You get, a matter of fact, the best one probably would be the Other Bible, which is talking about the Gnostic texts, as well as also the Apocrypha itself, as well as also the lost books of the Bible, the forgotten books of Eden, and the lost books of the Bible. Okay. Well, there is another book, Papa, on the Master Student. There is another book, my book, The First World Order, which we have on sale right now. And matter of fact, we have the code for it. What's that at? Dang, I just thought I just had that joint. Let me see. All right, but anyway, you go to the site, and you can get that joint. Go to www.dralimel-bey.com, and you can actually get the book right now. It's on sale because it's Marcus Garvey's born day. Birthday, of course, it just went into the 18th, but it was, but we're going to keep it like that for the whole day. You know, so from today and yesterday was that 24-hour span of Marcus Garvey born day, August the 17th. We want to say alayhi salam to the god Mosiah, one of the messiahs. There's even things being said that he was an agent, but if he was an agent for good, and for the best that he was able to do at that time without any radio, without any television, without any real newspapers pumping him up, all right, in any regard. And he was able to reach over 3 million people, all right? Yeah, brother, you out there, definitely your body have to be able to handle the energy. That's why you have to exercise, take in the proper nutrition, so forth and so on, because it's going to be able to handle that energy. All right, so I think that's about it for the questions. All right, well, we appreciate everybody. We'll come back tomorrow. Check it out. And as we always say, continue now for days, weeks, months, and years to come. We're moving towards our most cherished goals of health, wealth, knowledge of ourselves. All right, protection, security, full contentment and better economic conditions. Every action, enterprise, and endeavor in which we wish to be involved is bringing increasing rewards. We have so much success and abundance that we're able to help and share with those who are sincere along the way. We're moving closer towards the oneness of God and Goddess and the full release of our higher inner selves. Ashe, we out, y'all. Peace. We love y'all.